The Chicago Bulls made a move today and went out and added to their forward depth. They have signed Torrey Craig to a 2-year contract. The second year of that contract is a player option. This was reported by Woj earlier today. He averaged some pretty good numbers with the Phoenix Suns last year. He started a good amount of games as well. He averaged 24 minutes per game. And these are pretty solid numbers for a guy that hasn't really been known to start too many games in his career. But in this video, we're going to be looking into Torrey Craig's stats, especially his three-point shooting. Talk about how this affects the Bulls' payroll and what kind of contract Torrey Craig actually signed here. And then I'll look into some of his film here. And I wanted to bring up film that I think is kind of different than what we think of Torrey Craig. I think a lot of us think of Torrey Craig as a 3-and-D option or mostly just a defender, but I want to show some things that I think kind of go away from that trend. It's to see what else he can add to this Bulls team. But before we get into it all, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Quick look into Torrey Craig's stats here. This is his per game stats. He started 60 games last year, which is a career high for him. And then he averaged 39% from three-point land. That is also a career high, and I just want to put this out there that this could be an outlier for Torrey Craig last year, where he shot this well from three-point range. As you can see, he's a 35% three-point shooter for his career, so 39% is obviously a major jump for him. I don't know if this is necessarily an outlier. He does seem to be very aggressive from three-point range now, is not hesitant to shoot the ball, so that's at least a good sign. So hopefully this three-point percentage continues to be in the upper 30s instead of the mid 30s. But either way, though, even if it does come back to the mean, I do think that Torrey Craig is still a very decent signing for this Bulls squad, and I just hope the three-point shooting just continues. But this is going off of last season alone. Let's just look into the Bulls, three-point attempts per game per player. Torrey Craig averaged 3.2 threes per game last year. That would immediately just put him 6th on the roster. So again, just shows you how much the Bulls need three-point shooting. And just adding a guy like Torrey Craig, who's not the greatest three-point shooter in the world, he would just come in and just be 6th in terms of three-point attempts per game. Just him, right? We're not adding a very well-known shooter, right? And in terms of totals, this is his three-point totals from last year. He took 253. He made 100. So in terms of totals for the Bulls last year, 253 attempts would put him 5th, and then 100 makes would also put him 5th. So again, shows you this Bulls team just desperately needs three-point shooting. This team does not get into the paint. They're 19th in the NBA last season in terms of points in the paint per game. So if you're not going to get into the paint, which this Bulls team is not going to, and they're also pretty small, then you got to shoot the three ball. And adding in Javon Carter and Torrey Craig is going to definitely help this three-point shooting for this team, which again was dead last in the NBA in terms of attempts and makes per game. Another thing I want to look at with Torrey Craig was just kind of a little quick look at his shot selection and how good he is from certain areas of the court. So just quick look at his corner three-point percentage. We're talking over 40% from the corners, which is fantastic, right? So mostly we're probably going to hope to see Torrey Craig shooting corner threes. Above the break, it's not terrible. 35% is definitely not terrible, but as you can see, he is definitely much better from the corners. I mean, over 43% from both sides is just fantastic. So I hope to see a lot of corner three-point shots compared to stuff above the break, but I won't have any issues with him taking shots that are above the break from three-point land as well, because we just need shooting in general. Okay, now a quick look into what the Bulls are going to be looking at for their payroll. We haven't gotten the official word of what the exact contract is for Torrey Craig, but at least right now, Spotrac has him coming in at a minimum contract, which if that is actually the case, that is fantastic for the Bulls. And this is a contract that I think AK actually won the negotiations with. I'm expecting that Torrey Craig is going to be signed to the biannual exception. The biannual exception, as you can see here, is $4.5 million. So I am expecting that. So I think it's going to be a biannual contract. So it'd be about 2 years, $9 million total. Second year, obviously a player option, but I'm not entirely sure here. If this is actually the minimum, though, and we're going to go off of this, and this is based off Spotrac's numbers again, so that not everything is 100% confirmed here. But if this is actually true, it is a minimum contract, the Bulls actually still have some money left over before hitting the luxury tax, and this is with re-signing Ayo to that qualifying offer. So if this is, again, a minimum contract, this is not including Julian Phillips' contract, our second-round pick this year, which is going to add a little bit. But, I basically, with the Julian Phillips contract, I'm going off of what Will Gottlieb had to say about this. Sorry, hold on, load this. But what Will Gottlieb had to say about the Julian Phillips contract is about $1.12 million. So subtract basically $1 million off of this, right? And we're looking close to about $6 million remaining-ish Again, not 100% complete numbers. Will's numbers are a little bit different because he has Javon Carter making just a slight bit more than Spot Track, which I think Spot Track has this one right personally. But this is what we're looking at right now after the Torrey Craig signing. And again, we're not including Julie Phillips' contract. So subtract about $1 million or so off of this, and so the Bulls could still use the remaining mid-level exception, which is about $6 million. They could also use the biannual again if they didn't use on Torrey Craig, and they did apply for the disabled player exception with Lonzo Ball. I'll talk about that probably later down the road, but it is not approved yet, so I don't really want to talk about it too much. But that would be $10.2 million they could also spend, which would obviously put them into the luxury tax, which we don't expect that from the Bulls, but we don't know. Overall, though, I do think this is a really solid signing from the Bulls. I did not expect the Bulls to get Javon Carter and Torrey Craig this offseason, so in retrospect, I do think that this is a pretty solid offseason for the Bulls, but at the same time, I am aware that this core is very, very flawed, and I don't think these moves don't put this Bulls team to like contender level status, right? So just, at least surrounding the core with these types of pieces is good, but I don't like the direction this Bulls team is really going. I'm not saying for a full-out rebuild. I just don't like the core in general. I would have broken up the core personally, but these are pretty solid moves at the very least. So if you're gonna run this core back, you got to give them complimentary players, and they did just that. But let's get into some of the film here, and I'm actually gonna start here with some clips of Torrey Craig being like the pick and roll man here. This is something that the Phoenix Suns actually did a decent amount with them. And remember, this is like with Ayton on the floor, so this is a Kevin Durant, Torrey Craig pick and roll. Here's Torrey Craig here. You're gonna see him come over and set a screen. And this is something that like I was like picking up on this when I was looking through some clips of his. Like he seems actually pretty effective as like a roll man, and does seem to like make some pretty decent decisions too. So I'm actually hoping to kind of see this maybe from this Bulls team. Obviously with DeRozan and Levine, you have two guys that can handle the ball pretty effectively. So I don't know. It's just something to think about with this Bulls squad. But here's another one here. This is with Devin Booker. It's just like a little handoff play with Torrey Craig here. So Booker obviously came over this way, but as you can see, here's the screen from Torrey Craig, and I think Booker's going to go this way. And he does set like a pretty... Oh, never mind. He rejected the screen. And it just seems pretty effective in the end. And this is the one I'm thinking about. But this one here is just going to set up Devin Booker for a three-point shot. So another handoff play. And it's just simple as it's just like the same set that we saw before. Where it said Devin Booker's going to take the screen. And, if Ivica Zubac is like playing Torrey Craig, or like a big is playing Torrey Craig for whatever reason, this is a pretty effective strategy. As you can see, Devin Booker is going to look at Ivica Zubac, and Zubac was just backing up. That's enough space to shoot the three-point shot, and he knocks it down. And I was looking at the screen assist numbers. They're not exactly great for Torrey Craig, but I do think that he does set pretty decent screens, which is a plus. So just a little something different that we probably weren't expecting from Torrey Craig. Now I want to talk about his three-point shooting, which I think this is the most important part with him. If he can continue to do this, what he was doing in Phoenix, we're going to look at him in the corner here, which again, he shoots great from the corner. He has to just shoot them even if there's like a contest in his face, right? And it seems like with Phoenix, like he was just not hesitant at all to shoot the three, which is fantastic, right? So let's just watch this simple pick and roll play. And you see Devin Booker draws over Eric Gordon here. He just collapses the defense. And so this is a three-point shot for Torrey Craig. Now, Gordon obviously can get back and like make a contest here, but Craig, no hesitation whatsoever, puts it up very quickly, knocks it down. Let's look at another play here. This is going to involve his defense, which he guards Desmond Bane pretty well right here on his possession. So there's that. Could have been a foul. Who knows? But this is just kind of like what we're going to be getting from Torrey Craig. And then on the other end, we see Chris Paul is just going to find him in the corner. That's a pretty decent contest by Dylan Brooks. Don't know what happened there on the video. Sorry. But Torrey Craig knocks it down from the corner. So I'm just kind of showing you clips again where he just is comfortable shooting three from the corner. Here's another pick and roll. Here's Chris Paul coming off here, and here's DeAndre Ayton. And we're going to see just Chris Paul collapse the defenders up here in the middle of the floor. Torrey Craig is obviously at above the break right here. And Chris Paul sends it back out. And Lonnie Walker, I believe that's who's guarding him. He gets a pretty good contest off, but Torrey Craig still knocks it down. So if he can just bring this where I'm not expecting to basically shoot 40% again, but if he can just not hesitate from three-point land, that's good, right? And I expect him to not like have like a major drop in his three-point percentage if this was an outlier year for him. But again, just adding in more three-point shooting, even if it is a miss, is just a good thing for this Bulls team because we need to add shooting if this team's not going to get into the paint. this is a miss here, okay? This is a Torrey Craig miss, but just watch him. He's in the corner here. LeBron's gonna be guarding him on this like a transition opportunity, and watch, like Torrey Craig gets it and he just shoots it. Like, this is a transition opportunity for the Phoenix Suns, and he's just not afraid to shoot it at all. So either way, like I know that this is a miss. To me, that's a good shot. So if he can do that with his Bulls team, and hopefully the Bulls aren't telling him to relax the 3-point shooting or like shoot less and look to drive more. Like he's not a guy I really want to have drive to the basket too much. I would rather him just take advantage of his 3-point shooting. So either way, in the end, this is what I really want to see from Torrey Craig. Now, this other part about Torrey Craig, which is I think a little bit interesting. I don't really know how much the Bulls are going to utilize this. I think Torrey Craig's not going to get this opportunity with this Bulls team, but we saw Torrey Craig at least a little bit kind of like be all right with the ball handling in Phoenix, and he has this like little nice pull-up mid-range shot that I think we can kind of look into. So this is just a simple little handoff play. As you can see, handoff. He's going to come around off the screen set by Jock Landale. So simple little just handoff play that we see relatively a lot in the NBA today. And obviously Torrey Craig, maybe on this group of guys, might be like one of the main scoring options because there's not much here for Phoenix on the floor. But he has this like little mid-range shot here that he can like shoot from like 12 feet out, like maybe like a step into the paint. And he knocks it down pretty all right. Here's another example of it. I'm going to change the quality. Give me a sec. And it's like very similar action, right? This time, though, it's Chris Paul coming this way. Ball goes over to Torrey Craig. DeAndre Ayton's going to come up and set the screen here. And Torrey Craig's just going to go this way. Sorry, bad arrow. And we see, again, it just sets him up for this like little mid-range shot from like 13 feet out. And he hits it. So that's nice. If Torrey Craig can add that, that's nice. Again, I don't expect him to do this very often, but if it is something that the Bulls could, potentially have, then I'll obviously take it. I won't be mad at that whatsoever if he decides to just bring that out every once in a while, especially if he is in the second unit, which could honestly use some scoring too. Just a quick look at the defense. Now, I think we all kind of know with Torrey Craig that like he is a very just overall solid defender. And with Torrey Craig, that we look at him and we think of like, oh, point of attack defense. And with the Phoenix Suns, he was really playing the power forward position, okay? I know there's this whole argument right now between Bulls fans about like what position people play, but Torrey Craig was playing a lot of power forward for the Phoenix Suns last year. And you can see here in this possession, he was the help defender. So he comes over here, you're going to watch him kind of stab at Dennis Schroeder's drive, and he does a really good job getting a hand on the ball. So just adding in that length, adding in a guy that can help effectively and then recover effectively. This is what Torrey Craig is going to really bring to the squad, and as you can see here, he's going to try to give it to DeAndre Ayton in the fast break. So maybe don't rely on him too much on the fast break. But then even on this play right here, you see he's guarding Draymond Green. Like let's just watch this play unfold, because you're going to see that these guys up here for the Phoenix Suns, they get all confused. This is the simple action that we see all the time for the Golden State Warriors, where it's like the post split action. And you see that you're gonna see Devin Booker and Mikal Bridges. They both go to the same guy. Like they're confused, and I don't know what happened with Booker here, but they both go with Mikal Bridges and Devin Booker both go to Steph Curry. This leaves Andrew Wiggins open for a cut to the basket, which is a very nice play drawn up by the Warriors. But Torrey Craig comes off of Draymond Green, who obviously isn't a shooter, but he does a really good job of reading this, and is able to get the ball in his hands before Andrew Wiggins is able to get up a shot. So just a quick little look into Torrey Craig as like not maybe the on-ball defender, but more of like a help defender. And I do think that he had some moments last year with the Phoenix Suns where he was a pretty effective help defender in the NBA. Now, this is a stat that I need to go and buy a subscription to Basketball Index, because they're really solid with this. This is a stat from the 2019-2020 season, okay? So this wasn't last year. Torrey Craig. But just to kind of give you a look into how effective he is as a defender and how versatile he is as a defender. I mean, we're looking at like this guy guarded basically everything in just this one season for Denver. Okay, he guarded the point guard, he guarded the shooting guard most of the time, and then he also guarded both forward positions and even some center, which we don't really expect that here. But you just kind of see also like the amount of players that he guarded. He mostly guarded shot creators, as you can see, but he also guarded secondary ball handlers, primary ball handlers, slashers, right? He can basically guard a lot of positions, pretty much 1 through 4. Now, I think with his Bulls team that he is not going to be guarding, guys, specifically guards, more perimeter-oriented guys. He's going to be guarding a lot of forwards on this team instead. And I think that's the best option for this Bulls team, especially now that we have Javon Carter, and if we're going to be keeping Alex Caruso, leave those two guys to guard the guards, and then have Torrey Craig come in and be a very effective forward defender. And that could be, guarding a shot creator and being a point of attack defender, but also be a pretty decent help defender on this squad. I know that he isn't the biggest guy in the world, but the Bulls only had one player over 6'7" and between 6'7" and 6'10" last year, and that was Patrick Williams, right? So if Torrey Craig is also 6'7", and he can come in and add that length and add that defensive versatility that this Bulls team needs just a little bit to help this Bulls team moving forward. But that's going to do it for me for this video. I think this Torrey Craig signing is overall pretty solid, but in the end, I do think that this Bulls offseason has been pretty solid, especially if this Torrey Craig signing is to the minimum. And we're going to see what else they do in this offseason. But that's going to do it for me. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'll see y'all in the next one.